More Facebook files disclosures. Biden White House staffers berated Facebook employees over demands for special access to tools to target the platform's anti-vaccine and vaccine-hesitant users. This is according to emails obtained by Fox News. During a conversation regarding users posting about nosebleeds as potential COVID vaccine side effects, Biden's digital director, Rob Flaherty, asked, quote, "Since it's a global pandemic, can we give agencies access to targeting parameters that they wouldn't be able to?" Per Fox's reporting, Flaherty's request came about as the staffers weighed how to convince people who were worried about these side effects to take the vaccine anyway.
A Facebook employee cautioned Flaherty that they had to be careful, adding, "We all know people that have had the experience that think that Facebook is listening to them." Per Fox, the Facebook employee told Flaherty that something like an immediate generated message about nosebleeds might give users the Big Brother feel, but suggested they show the content on a delay to avoid setting off alarm bells among users. Quote, "We shouldn't pay attention to those conversations. Make sure that people see information, even if it's not right then." Sorry, we should pay attention, the Facebook employee said.
So this is more emails from Rob Flaherty, who's a White House Biden official who has come up in a lot of in the lawsuit. He was referenced in Judge Doughty's decision for asking very directly, like the day or very shortly after Biden takes office, take down this post on Twitter that is an account that's a satire anti-Biden account. So lots of communications between him and Facebook. In some of these messages, again, we know so much more than we used to now. Flaherty and Andy Slavitt, Biden officials, are frustrated with Facebook. They consider Facebook less compliant than other social media sites. They're very blaming of Facebook users. Courtney Rowe, another government official, says, well, if someone in rural Arkansas sees something on Facebook, it's the truth. What we need is help, pushing back on the myths, on the things those yokels see on Facebook. They always think it's true. The Big Brother concerns, and all of that. It's just very, it's very in keeping with, everything we've learned by now. Flaherty also says, "My dream is for Facebook to play ball, like you're not playing ball. It's how we will get out of this effing mess. We have to explain to the president why there's misinformation on the internet. We don't want to be in a position where we take down bad news, but if your goal as a company is to make it more likely that people will get the vaccine." This is Flaherty talking as if he's Facebook. The Facebook employee just replies, "We can't ask news outlets to take down bad news." So more evidence that these very worrisome conversations were being had throughout the pandemic about what the content moderation policies are going to be, with government officials participating at the highest levels, having weekly phone calls in addition to all the emails.
Yeah, part of the concern raised in this article is about whether or not someone who is concerned about, who posts something on Facebook expressing concern about nosebleeds as a potential symptom of COVID, whether or not Facebook should push information about that to them.
Right.
CDC recommendations, whatever the health recommendations were about that particular issue. And that was the colloquy we read about, well, if we do it too quickly, then it'll seem like Big Brother, like the government is watching. But we can do it later. And it seems to me that there's some very interesting parallels there between that and the way that the advertising model, generally speaking, works on Facebook, where people post public information and advertisers are known. The whole point of it is that the advertisers use that information to target you with ads on the app. That's how the apps make money. And there's an interesting question about, outside of government trying to influence Facebook's design, whether or not government, just like any other third-party actor, can pay to use the public information that we put out there to target you with their ads, the same way that women discover, like, their ad choices tell them they're pregnant before they know. Have you heard these stories?
Yes.
Where something about your app or something about your watch tells you your hormone levels, or somehow people start getting like Pampers ads and they don't even realize they're pregnant. What is the line between corporations doing that and the government doing that for an ostensible public health service?
I mean, I don't know how I feel about the government, purchasing advertisements the way any private actor would be able to do it. I mean, I would probably say that's not a good use of the government's money, but someone else could argue that it is. But the issue here is different, right? Because it's not just them, participating in whatever process Facebook allows for ads and influence. It's them, behind closed doors trying to preference their narratives by and then and this is what's being debated, by how much were they actually pressuring the companies to peddle their narratives in a way that other companies can't come in and say, we're going to yank your regulatory authority, or we're going to subject you to all this liability if you don't, preference my diapers or something, right? But the federal government can, by virtue of having, exhaustive regulatory powers, say, yeah, we want you to preference our nosebleeds aren't associated with COVID messaging, and if you're not going to do that, we can, punish you in all these ways.
Yeah, wielding Section 230 as a threat is so obviously coercive and inappropriate, and it does really shadow any other question about whether the government may or may not have had a good public health interest in making asks that a company can then turn down. If the threat is as significant as repealing Section 230 is, then it's hard to imagine that the companies are really in a position where they can consent,
Right. That's exactly what we're worried. And again, asking for things that are clearly making the executives, making Zuckerberg and Nick Clegg and these other people very uncomfortable. So it's not the case, some people say the government wanted them to censor stuff, but they were so eager to do it. They wanted to censor everything. We can see in these emails that they have profound
reservation,
First Amendment, free speech concerns, that this is even if it's happens to be legal, that it's philosophically very fraught, that they don't think it is their role to police all bad news. I mean, Zuckerberg has said these things out loud, and him and his top people were actually saying this in conversations with each other and in their emails, pushing back on some of the guidance they're getting. So it's not the case that they were just of their own volition falling in line with whatever. They wanted to do that anyway.
Is the real lesson of the Twitter files that Mark Zuckerberg and some of these CEOs weren't as evil as they were framed as being, and that we're going to head back to the halcyon years of 2011, where Mark Zuckerberg was considered to be a good
cool
guy?
Yeah, good guy, maybe never a cool guy.
Never a cool guy.
Well, look, people needed. We all needed to think this through a little bit more, because at the enforcement level, right, when your account gets taken down or your post gets moderated, it's being done by the platform, and the visceral level of frustration was with the platform, or with Zuckerberg, with Dorsey, et cetera. But that's an understandable human impulse.
Sure.
But we're seeing the rest of the story, and there was a lot more to it than that. And I hope, thanks to all the reporting on it, I hope people are really waking up to the fact that there was a lot more going on to be concerned about.
Yeah, why transparency and these kind of disclosures are so important, that I hope we continue to get them going forward. I would love to see some government action on at least letting us know what the government is up to and what these companies are up to. Otherwise, we're flying completely blind in the dark going forward, even though there's been these leadership changes at companies like Twitter X.
Yes. More Rising right after this.